Thank you for joining us. My name is David McGuire. I'm a shareholder here with McGuire Sponsel. I'm joined by one of my other shareholders, David Seibel. Today we want to just briefly talk about the tariffs that are being refunded and that was recently announced and that the funding opportunities have opened up. So welcome, David.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
David, so tell me about these tariffs that are being refunded. It's not all tariffs that have been paid. It's specific to a specific type of tariff. Is that correct?
That's right, Dave. So as we know, there's been numerous tariffs that have been implemented since Trump took office, but it's really related, the refund opportunity is related to the tariffs that were implemented as part of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA. So the Supreme Court ruled that these tariffs were unconstitutional in February of 2026. So they ruled that any tariffs that were a part of this IEEPA have to be refunded. They were ruled unconstitutional. So that's really where the opportunity lies, is in this particular section of tariffs.
Now, with those tariffs being refunded, is this something that people do on a tax return? Is this something their accountant does, or is there a specific process for going out and getting these refunded?
So the refunds are being run through the U.S. Customs and Borders Protection Agency. So it's a separate process. It's something that Customs has developed, an online platform that they're using called the Consolidated Administration and Processing of Entries. It's commonly known as CAPE, to process these refunds. And this portal officially launched on April 20th.
Is there a time frame for how long they're going to be doing this, or is it really up in the air right now?
It's a little bit up in the air. Phase one was just phase one of the process for the CAPE entries are going to be for the IEEPA tariffs that are still in unliquidated status or liquidated status that have just been liquidated within the past 80 days. So that's phase one, still to be determined when additional phases will be released, but that's really the opportunity now. And it's also not a situation where you can necessarily wait, because the normal protest period for liquidated entries is 180 days. So it's very possible that there's not just going to be an open-ended, you can apply for these whenever you want. There's definitely going to be a time limit in place.
Now, obviously, tariffs have affected all of us. I've paid more at Target when my wife goes shopping at Target. We've paid more for other things. Who actually gets the refund? Can I go to Target and say, I want a refund on the television I bought 6 months ago because I overpaid for it because of these tariffs, or is it restricted to specific people?
That would be nice if we could do that, but unfortunately, these refund claims are limited to the importer of record or the licensed broker who assisted with importing these. So unfortunately, you and I, as people who paid these tariffs, we were not the importers of record. We cannot claim these tariff refunds. It would be up to the companies that were the importer of record to do it.
Okay, so even if let's say I'm a construction company and I have a subcontractor that, say, is an HVAC contractor, they bought a HVAC component from Honeywell. Honeywell paid a tariff. Honeywell's the one that gets the refund, not necessarily. It doesn't work its way down the line necessarily, unless they so choose to pass that on.
Correct, yeah, and it would depend on the contract there, what that HVAC contractor and Honeywell had in place in terms of any type of tariff refunds or anything. But to your point, it would be, in this example, Honeywell that would be the one claiming the refund. Whether or not they then pass it on to maybe the ultimate person who paid it, that's kind of discretionary, and I'm sure will result in additional conversations.
So any other key issues that you see that people are missing or misinterpreting as it relates to some of these tariffs and these refund opportunities?
I think a couple of key things is, obviously you have to be timely in these, because there is, like I said, there is a time limit on these, but also couple of big questions that still remain is, will the government appeal this decision? Believe they have until June 7th to do so. Still would be worth it to not wait on that and still apply for these refunds. But again, it is something that the government could potentially do, is appeal this decision. And then also, how will this be handled from an income tax perspective? That's something that we still have to wait and see how that's going to be dealt with, because a lot of these tariffs were deducted on tax returns. And so if they then get refunded, what does that look like? Will the IRS release guidance that say you have to amend returns or claim those refunds in the years that you had initially deducted them, or will they allow you to have it as gross income, or will they issue anything at all? That's something that's still to be determined as well.
So it looks like there's a pretty big opportunity for many people. Obviously, these were, I think, I can't remember how many hundreds of billions of dollars this relates to, but I've seen the numbers and it's not small. I would assume that if people have any questions about this or believe they have an opportunity for a refund, they can just reach out to McGuire Sponsel, either yourself or whoever they deal with at McGuire Sponsel, and they'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. We're more than happy to help review these claims, talk through the eligibility requirements, look through documentation to see if there is an opportunity, and if there is, approximately how much can be refunded through this process.
And I'm assuming there's no risk for people to have that initial phone call to walk through it and make that initial assessment. So if there is nothing there, no harm, no foul, and they can move on.
Correct. Yes, we will do that on our own dime. We want to ultimately help clients that were affected by these tariffs.
Well, perfect. Well, I appreciate the time today, David. And for anybody that's watching this, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to anyone at McGuire Sponsel, and we can get you pointed in the right direction to make sure that we're looking to maximize these opportunities and make sure that you are not leaving any dollars on the table. But thank you, David.
Thank you, Dave.